Hello everyone, myself Nishitha, Assistant Professor, Department of CSIT, working at MLR Institute of Technology. In previous sessions, we have seen about file directory methods, directory structures, directory implementation, and then file access methods. So in this session, we are going to see about mass storage structure. So what do you mean by mass storage structure? So let us see the overview of this presentation. So in this we are going to see the overview of mass storage structure. So in this mass storage structure it is nothing but secondary storage structure. So mass storage structure is nothing but secondary storage structure. So whatever the storage is done in the files or system, let us see with this mass storage structure. So let us see the secondary storage structure. So nothing but mass storage structure. It is also known as secondary storage structure. So in these systems are designed to store anonymous volumes of data are referred to as mass storage devices. So mass storage devices are nothing but again here secondary storage devices. So in these systems are stored anonymous with the volumes of each data that are referred as mass storage devices. So massive storage devices are sometimes used interchangeably with peripheral storage. So they can be interchange their storages with the peripheral storage, which is the management of bigger volumes of data that are larger than native storage capability of a computer or device. So here they can be managed with the bigger volumes of data and they are larger than native storage capability of a computer or any other device. Device may be USB device or any pen drive or any secondary storage device that can be interchangeably change the storage of the data from one system to another system. So based upon the volume of that data, that can be native storage capability for a computer or any device. So that may be hard disk or maybe pen drive or any USB cable to connect to other systems pen drives. So whatever the data required, that can be easily shared. The basic idea of mass storage is to create a data backup or data recovery system. So the main project or the main thing of this mass storage structure is nothing but it is to create the data backup or to create the data recovery system. Along with computer systems, definitions of mass storage technologies and tactics have changed. So many technologies and definitions of this mass storage structures are being changed. The earliest, most basic mass storage techniques date back to the era of mainframe supercomputers according to the experts. So in the earliest, the main basic thing of this mass storage technique is to back up the mainframe of supercomputers according to their experts. So whatever the techniques which are have done by the experts, that can be easily framed with the supercomputers. Punch cards, Hollerith cards and other relatively similar storage medium are examples of this mass storage media these days. So whatever the media can be changed this files manually. So that may be punch cards, Hollerith cards and other relatively similar storage medium that can be changed with the storage media. So whatever that can store this storage media, whatever the accessing of these files, images or any videos of that belonging, that files can be may shared with these punch cards, Hollerith cards or any other relatively cards. So these are required or these are required to the storage media, and in these days they are using some punch cards. So whatever the required data that can be kept in these punch cards. Today mass storage may include several kinds of hard disks. So in these days there are very kinds of hard disk or solid storage devices. So solid storage devices as well as tape drives and other physical data storage devices. So hard disk nothing but hard disk drives. We can store the data which can be shared to other systems, and other solid storage devices are also can be shared with the long data can be shared with this solid state storage device. And there may be tape drives also. Some tape drives also used to access or used to store the information which is required, and other physical storage devices also are also required for this to store the data and information kept secret. So that is what how this data and information kept in several formats. It may be a hard disk, it may be a secondary storage device, or it may be a tape drive, or it may be SSD, or maybe USB. So whatever the kind of information, data can be kept through n number of devices, and they can store or they can change or they can exchange. So this is nothing but how the mass storage structure is working or sharing with the devices. That is nothing but secondary storage device. This is mass storage structure. So the concept of data backup and data recovery are frequently linked to mass storage media. So the concept nothing but the retrieving the data or giving the backups are used linked directly, or may be used frequently to access the files. So that may be data backup or any recovery of the data. So the data which is lost in the system, we may retrieve, sometime we may lose. So in that cases, we need to keep one backup to store that data, and we are used to store or link up with this storage media. That is what mass storage media. The biggest business companies will make plans for recording. So in the biggest companies, they make some planning for how to plan the project and how we are going to keep the project data safely or secretly. So that is what recording, storing and backing up all the accessible data. So whatever the requirements for these business companies, they may record the data, they may store the data, or whenever they want to retrieve or backup, all the necessary accessibles are given to so and so persons in the companies. So which calls for a lot more storage media than what factory direct gear can provide. So whatever the media which is providing, or factory directly gear with this providence. So for these companies, they require some data to store and to record and to retrieve and to give some backup for some when the power is lost. We need to give some backups when they are working for the so and so project. So everything is necessary for business companies. This suggests a method for handling continuous mass storage that uses a tape or other media. So in these cases, they may use tape or other some kind of media. Other kinds of mass storage could function as well as data storage plan. So in this mass storage can function only some data storage plan for a given network or a bunch of mobile distance devices. So it may provide some storage plan, or it may provide some big network to the bunch of mobile to some distinct devices. So whatever it is possible, it is going to function. That is how we are going to provide these mass storage devices. So the mass storage structures devices are of three types. What are they? Magnetic disks, solid state disks and magnetic tapes. So there are three types: magnetic disk, solid state disk and magnetic tapes. So let us start our magnetic disk. So in this magnetic disk, now we are going to know about whereabouts of the magnetic disk mass storage structure devices. So whatever the magnetic disk is nothing but mass storage structure devices. So one of the magnetic disks which we are using in secondary storage device. The process of magnetization is used to write, rewrite and access the data on a magnetic disk. So whatever you want to magnetize this functions, nothing but write, rewrite or any accessing the data which are used on a magnetic disk for a secondary storage device. This process is known as magnetic disk. So whatever the process which is performed by this magnetization, which is used to write, access or rewrite, that are used on the magnetic disk. So this is known as magnetic disk. It is coated magnetically and has tracks, spots and sectors for storing the data. So it may magnetically, it has some tracks, spots and sectors for storing the information. In 1956, IBM created the first magnetic hard drive. So in 1956, the first IBM company has been created this first magnetic hard drive. A substantial device with 50 to 21 inches, so nothing but 53 centimeters platters. So platters means dividing in some platters, some blocks. Despite being large, it could only have 5 megabytes of information. So in despite of this large memory, it could only take 5 megabytes of the information. Since then, magnetic disk storage capabilities have multiplied dynamically or dramatically, while simultaneously shrinking on its size. So whenever the size of this magnetic disk is capable to handle some space, that is what 5 megabytes, and it can shrink its size, maybe increase or decrease dramatically due to some capabilities of the storage on the disk drives. Why? Because it could only take some amount of data. Maybe in the other cases, it may take large amount of data, but it is not possible in this magnetic disk. So that is how we are going to shrink the sizes of this disk. Basic common example of magnetic disks are floppy disk, hard disk and zip disk. So what are the three types of magnetic disk? Floppy disk, hard disk and zip disk. So what is the functions or what is the working of this magnetic disk? So this is the structure of magnetic disk. So what is the function or how it works? Let us see. The basic structure of magnetic disk is this one. A mechanical arm that travels across a revolving magnetic surface known as the platter. So whatever it rotates one after the other, that is what platter. Makes up the majority of a magnetic disk. It makes some majority of the magnetic disk. They come together a comb, both reading from and writing to the disk are done using the mechanical arm. So mechanical arm can be done this reading writing operations, and they both together perform the mechanical arm. A magnetization process is used to read and write the data on magnetic disk. It performs some read and write operations on the magnetic disk. One or more disc shaped platters with magnetic material. So it performs one or more disc shaped platters with magnetic material covering by them. Unlike floppy disk, which are composed of more flexible plastic, hard disk platters are built of stiff metals. So these are nothing but stiff metals. So stiff metals are used for the disk platters. So one after the other, the platters are placed in the form of magnetic disk. This is how the functioning of the magnetic disk perform. So next is solid state disk. In the solid state disk, how the disks are placed. Old technologies are frequently employed in new ways as economic conditions and technology evolve. So in old technologies, they are frequently employed in some ways that are nothing but economic conditions and technology evolve. The growing usage of solid state drives or SSDs is one illustration of this secondary storage. Solid state devices. So in the solid state drivers, or SSDs is the one of the illustration, means the whatever the data can be kept that are used to evolve some with the condition of using the solid state disk. SSDs functions as tiny quick hard disk using memory technologies. So SSDs are very tiny, means very small to store the data that can be used to by quick hard using this memory technology. To maintain the information over power cycles, certain implementations may employ either flash memory or DRAM chips protected by a battery. So, to maintain the information over power cycle, there are some implementations to employ the flash memory, whatever the memory is kept in the flash. So, DRAM chips, so dynamic random access memory chips are protected by some batteries. So, this is how you are going to maintain the informations in the power cycles. Due to the lack of moving components, SSDs operate far more quickly than conventional hard drives. So, it may give the lack of components to SSDs, or they are more quickly than the convention of hard drives. And some issues may arise, such the scheduling of disk access simply do not exist. So, it may access directly and they do not get exist. SSDs do have certain drawbacks. So, it has some drawbacks, including the fact that they cost more than the hard drives. So, one of the drawback of this solid disk drives are nothing but it is have more cost than the hard drives, and are of smaller and very small to store the information or data. May have shorter lifespan. So, it may the lifespan of also these SSDs are maybe 1-2 years or 3-4 years, where you can store or retrieve the data, or else it may expire. So, the lifespan is very small for this SSDs. So, next one is magnetic tapes. Prior to the advent of hard drives, magnetic tapes were frequently utilized for secondary storage. So, apart from this hard drives and SSDs, these magnetic tapes are very frequently utilized for secondary storage. Today, they are mostly used for backups. So, these are used for backups. It might take a while to get a specific location on a magnetic tape, but once reading or writing starts, access rates are on par with disk drives. So, whatever the location placed in the magnetic tape, it can be read or write when there is starting the magnetic tape, or it rates on par with disk drivers. So, whatever the ratings can be done with this disk drivers. Tape drive capacities may be anywhere. So, it can be placed anywhere. 20 to 200 GB. So, the data can be up to 20 to 200 GB. And compression can increase that capacity is double. So, the capacity of this tape drive may be from 20 to 200 GB. And the compression of this may be increases, or its capacity is double to the magnetic tape. So, this is how the magnetic tapes are storing the data in 20 to 200 GB is kept for this magnetic tape. So, in this session, we have seen about mass storage structure overview. In this mass storage structure, we have seen about magnetic disk, solid state disk, and next is previous one is magnetic tapes. So, these are the three disks we have discussed in this mass storage structure. If you have any doubts, you can comment in comment box. Thank you.